Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we have Nick Garber of Apogee Comics and Starcross Comics as our guest today. I've been meaning to get him on for a long time, and we were finally able to get our schedules to converge. So let's start the show and get to Nick. Nick, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, great to see you. I've been meaning to get you on, and our schedules always got mixed up, or we were working. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it was like launching a space shuttle mission or
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you got the mustache going on.
something. Oh yeah.
When did that happen? You look like what's his
month?
What's his name from?
Ron Swanson.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so for anybody that follows me on Instagram, for the last, I'm on day 6 now. So every day I put it in my story on Instagram, a selfie where I'm kind of looking stoic or whatever, and then I put a Ron Swanson quote on there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. I got 55 quotes, so I got 49 more days, and then I can finally shave this thing.
Oh wow. Well, I think it works. So I like it.
Too bad. It gets in the way when I'm eating. Other than that, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, you get into that phase where it's itchy, but then once you pass that, then you're fine. But it's that
it's not itchy.
Phase.
It's at the combing phase. So I have to comb it. Yeah. So it, like random hairs don't go into my nose and make me sneeze.
Oh,
it's kind of goofy.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Oh wow. Well, I wanted to start off with some of our basic questions, like how did you get into comics, and then followed by, how you started your comic line, and then what's coming up. So I wanted to, people who don't know you, why comics, and what made you first interested, and then why did it, become something you wanted to create?
My earliest memory of anything comic book related is I think I was like 4 years old. My parents went to the drive-in. They were there to see 1 Million BC with Raquel Welch. And the screen behind me was playing Superman, Chris Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
So while they were watching that, my 4-year-old, but with no sound, was in the rear view back seat watching Superman. And
wow.
It was the most amazing thing ever. But then when I talked to my dad when I got older, he's like, dude, when you were a baby in the crib, I painted Shazam, Spider-Man, and Superman right next to your crib. So like the imprint was started early of me liking, superheroes and comic books. And I was a casual fan up until I was probably around 9 years old. About 9 years old, I got a really bad case of the flu. I was out of school for like 2.5 weeks. And it was during the winter. My dad, he works construction. So like during the winter months, it rains. So when it's raining, he can't go out and work. So he went to Long's Drugs, which was the drugstore in town. And back in the day of spinner racks. And if you don't know what a spinner rack is, I hold your childhood suspect, because those were the coolest things ever. Mm-hmm. And comic books were like between 50 cents and 75 cents. And he pulled every book out of the spinner rack because I needed something to do, and I was probably driving him nuts. So he throws down a stack of comics. Had to have been at least 15 or 20 books. And right on top was Daredevil. Here. Huge Daredevil fan.
Do you know what issue? Who was on the cover?
I don't know the issue number, but I remember it had him. He was in the foreground. He's very small, and Mephisto was in the background.
Okay.
Very large and menacing.
One of my first comics I saw, and I don't remember the issue, but it was Daredevil. He was kind of like on his knees getting pushed down by is it Whirlwind or Twister? Twister.
He's got the
yeah. And that was
no. Sorry.
No, who's the one with the razor blades on his? He had like
This like saw blades.
Saw blades.
Who the hell was that?
I'll look it up.
Well,
You keep telling your
we'll
story,
figure
I'll
that
look it
out
up.
later on. But that I started reading that, and then there was Captain America in there. There was a couple of Avengers issues, X-Men issues. There was also some DC in there too, some like Batman, Green Lantern, Superman stuff. And at that time, during the mid late '80s, DC really wasn't doing what Marvel was doing. Marvel was like just wrecking shop. I love you. I love you too.
Gladiator.
Gladiator. Oh yes, Gladiator.
You'd think it would have something to do with saw blades, but it's Gladiator. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I love how the child's mind, like what I remember and what actually
Yeah.
happened, are just like not one and the same. So
Mm-hmm.
Gladiator, man, I haven't heard that name in forever. Well, probably since I read that issue.
Yeah.
And now, like when I go to the comic book shop, I'm not looking for the new stuff. I'm going through the long boxes of Daredevil because there's story arcs that after 35 years, I still haven't finished yet.
Sure.
So.
Plus, even if they were stories you read, when you reread them, it's like time travel.
Oh, they are, and it takes you back. And I love the smell of the old books.
Mm-hmm.
You pull them out there, there's
newsprint.
That
newsprint
ink smell.
Something in the ink or something.
Oh, it's it's awesome.
So you got into comics, and at some point you decided to start making your own. So you became an artist at some point.
I'd always been drawing.
Always were, yeah.
I'd always been drawing. I've been drawing as long as I can remember. And in between 9 years old and when I finally made my first comic at 30,
mm-hmm.
I was creating stuff. I was making characters. I was building a universe.
Yep.
And they all had I've got like 250 some odd characters from my
mm-hmm.
brain. Why I'm not in a straitjacket, locked in a padded room, beyond me. No clue. But I'd always been creating, and a lot of them, I got in trouble a lot for drawing in class. Weird. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time and attention, which gave me more time to draw more. Mm-hmm. So, all through those years, that's when I created Phantom Hawks, when I created Slayer and
Oh, wow. That long ago. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's when I created Pendragon. Mm-hmm. All these.
Me too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, that's how I dealt with stuff. I was always in trouble for drawing in class. So I got grounded a lot. So these were my friends.
Yep.
So they all have a little bit of my personality or a little bit of personalities that I like, or my friends, things like that. Excuse me. So by the time I actually got around to making comics, I was 30 years old because I had spent all that time in between people telling me you should make a comic book, you should make a comic book. I'm like, I will one day.
Okay.
And then I woke up, I was 30 years old, and I'm like, I don't have much time left. I have best 30 to 60 years left in my life. Mm-hmm. So, someday is now going to be today. And I locked myself in my office and I wrote a script. I gave zero thought to anything past that first issue, like a story arc. I just did it. I just knocked it out. And then I started laying out thumbnails and storyboarding it and working the dialogue and making changes here and there.
That's the hardest part, to just do it.
Yeah. It's that age old, adage of, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So I did the first step. It took me about a year because I was doing everything, writing, pencils, inks, colors, lettering. And I had to learn how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even writing, I had to. I picked up a book by Denny O'Neil, DC's Guide to Writing Comics.
Yeah.
And I read that probably a good 20 times cover to cover until I actually felt comfortable enough to write a script. And it just happened to be that day that I locked myself in the office. Like, you know what? Today's the day. I'm doing it. So locked myself in there. The script it came quick. Mm-hmm. Like for a second there, I was like, oh man, I must be some sort of writing savant. And I'm like, oh wait, maybe I'm screwing stuff up.
Right.
Probably going to suck. But I'm like, no, let's get it done. Let's get it drawn. We'll tweak anything else out there.
It just comes like, if you're telling a story of what happened to you today, you're just recalling things and you're telling it, and you're portraying how it happened. When you're doing your stories, because these characters so well, what they do in their life, so you you just start putting it on paper, and you're like, and then this happened, and then they did this, and then he said this. It's almost like you're recalling it, like you watched a movie and you're
Yeah,
telling someone about the movie,
exactly.
but
And I'd
you're
act it out
making
too.
it up. Yeah.
I'd act it out.
Yeah.
I acted out a few times. Robert Frank asked, "What is my flagship character?" My flagship character is the Phantom Hawk.
Yeah.
And that was the first book I ever put out, was Phantom Hawk issue 1, and it's framed on my wall. The first print I had ever made, I had signed it to myself.
Oh wow.
And then put it in a coffin.
I think I got the OG one. Is this the?
No, that's the
not
Apogee.
Okay, that is the.
It's not a reboot per se. It's more of a. Took a lot of planning because we wanted to, because the artwork in the first couple of issues, because I was still learning sequential art. I was doing pinup years. You know, sequential art is completely different.
Yeah.
Everything was like center frame and boring, and you know, I just didn't have the nuances yet of
that takes time. Yeah,
that small, small panels. I've gotten better at it now. Like, so issues 4 and 5 of that original story arc, or I wouldn't say they're my best, but they're a lot better than, issues 1 through 3.
Sure.
So I look at it now, I'm like, oh, I so want to redraw these issues, but I got to continue on.
So your very first book was Phantom Hawk.
Yes.
And then now, was that already Apogee Comics, or did that come later? Were you just saying?
No, the whole story of how we got to Apogee, the first comic book company I created that released comic book was called Blackjack Comics. It's one of my favorite card games. It's something we used to play with my parents, going camping or at a cabin in a lake. We played blackjack. And I always just thought it was cool. And I have a character or a set of characters, a team called Task Force Blackjack that one day hopefully I get to. But I got so many other characters I want to get to first. They're definitely in the lower end of the totem. So it was first released under Blackjack Comics, and I took on a business partner, and I learned that you have to really be careful who you take on as a business partner.
So, without being specific, roughly where did you bury him?
Her. No, it was just a bad deal, because I had met her when I was in the military, when I was in the National Guard. She was a fan of the genre.
Oh wow.
And I knew her in the office. She's like, "Hey, I hear you're making a comic book," and I'm like, "All right, cool." And she was a paralegal for the Army.
Oh wow.
So I was like, "Oh man, that's great for contracts and things like that."
Yeah.
I need a paralegal. And she's very well read. And I'm like, "Oh, I need an editor."
Cool.
I'm like, "Hey, do you want to do this comic book thing?" She's like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." So she gets out of the Army, starts getting into illicit drugs, and was doing them at cons and falling asleep at the table. And I'm just like, "Yeah, that's not a good look." I'm like, "So you got to go." She's like, "I'm not leaving. You're leaving." I'm like, "All right, fine, bye." Even though I created the company, I'll drop. She's like, "Well, all your characters are mine." I'm like, "What? No, not."
Oh man.
So Blackjack went away, even though it was like I had a cool logo and I had some really great branding. And then a couple of years later, I was like, because I was kind of depressed, because like my first company just like depth charged, and I was like, I was still drawing and I was still making books, but I didn't have anything to release it under. So eventually I met some artists and some writers, and we all came together and were like, "Hey man, let's make a company." And they're like, "All right, cool." So it was Guerrilla Comics.
Okay.
So we did it like 2 issues, not even really 2 issues. Like I did a reprint of Phantom Hawk under the Guerrilla brand, and then I put out Guerrilla Warfare, which was an anthology book of the other characters that we were introducing to have their main books later on in the year. But we wanted to give kind of like a sample treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, so that's technically the first appearance of Cardinal and Crimson Guardians is in that issue, and Corvid and Sparrow is the first time you're going to see him there. Is in Guerrilla Warfare #1, and
that was before, right?
That was way before. That was like 2000, 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. And then I did a con in St. Louis with my writer buddy Ray Merrick, and he's like, "Hey, dude, there's this artist. There's this book that you got to meet, and we got to introduce ourselves to these guys. We got to he was super excited about it, and he got me super pumped up. I'm like, all right, cool. So we meet with Jay Sloan. He was doing a book at the time called Transgenesis through.
I heard of that. I think I might have even got that. Yeah.
You probably do. It was very popular. It's Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So we went and had dinner and we talked shop. You know how comic creators are. We just can't shut up about the genre. So as we're having beers and tearing into our double cheeseburger, we're talking about comics. Like, you know what? We should probably do something. We should form like a collaborative of like just indie comics, indie creators, follow the same rules that Image had in the beginning. Because I didn't know about Starcross. I didn't know that you guys were already doing that.
Well, we started out local. So we were doing our local thing for a long time before we even started expanding. So we're, we weren't everywhere. We weren't doing social media. We were really.
No, but I have a lot of your books and I didn't know what I had.
Okay.
Because like social media is blowing up at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't have the resources when I first started doing comics that we have today. Like you can jump on a message board or a group in Facebook and they'll tell you everything you need to go or everything you need to know about making your own comic book, from writing to, hey, where do I get this printed? Who's the best printer? Who does foil covers? Who does this? Who does that? I had no idea. I had to research all that stuff.
Yep.
So I'm so thankful that we have that now. And I'm a big fan of putting back into the community. So like if anybody ever messaged me like, hey man, how'd you do this? I'll take the time to.
Oh, there's people that you're like, oh, where'd you have these made? And they won't tell you because they don't want you to make them. I'm like, what?
I don't get the gatekeeping. We account for over half of the comic book sales in the country.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're not going to take your sales. It's like
no, there's a book for everybody. Like I did an interview yesterday and they're like, what do you love about speculative fiction? I'm like, because it can go anywhere. There's romance books, there's teen books, there's teen angst books, there's superhero books, there's sci-fi books, there's fantasy books. There's there's something out there for everybody and everybody's got a niche.
Yeah.
So
Phantom Hawk came out and then you were Blackjack and then you were then
Gorilla,
and
now
then
we had dinner and had a few beers.
Okay,
and then it was like, hey, we should merge together. And I was like, all right, cool. Strength in numbers. Let's do this. I'm a military guy, so I'm a big believer in strength in numbers.
Right.
So it was it 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. My dates are fuzzy. I'm getting old, but. Somewhere after that, we all came together. We had a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that about how we were going to set this thing up and what books we wanted to set in production. I had a lot of stuff during that time between Blackjack and Gorilla, and even between Gorilla and when we came up with Apogee, ready to go. Like it needed to be inked and colored and lettered, and that's it. But like the artwork was done.
Yeah, I bet.
And they're like, oh well. Let's do your thing. And my experience with the previous two companies was that I didn't want to be in charge anymore. I didn't want to be the president. I didn't want to be the CEO. All I want to do is kind of control the money, where it's going. Cause I know how artists are. We'll spend. Like we just have a Dollar Tree hanging out in the backyard.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've learned my lessons from these previous two companies. Money drives comics. So I got to control the money, because if I know I let some, rookie creators have control of this money, we're going nowhere. We're going to blow it before we even get an issue out.
And this is before crowdfunding.
This is before crowdfunding. Crowdfunding had just kind of started getting popular, especially in the, comic book world. People were using it to make new backpacks or headphones or,
exactly.
Stuff that was a little bit more useful, I guess. I'm not saying that comic books aren't useful.
Yeah, no, totally.
But, you kind of see where I'm going with that. It was broad, large production type stuff they were trying to do. Not, get 150 backers and maybe push out 500 issues.
Yep.
So, I, and then that ended up backfiring. They're like, hey, yeah, you can be the CFO, but we all vote that since you've been doing this for a while, that you're the president.
Yeah. In Apogee.
In Apogee. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do it. But I need a vice president, and it shouldn't be anybody from the Gorilla camp. It should be somebody from the other company. a star-crossed treasure.
Yeah.
No, I'm all about embezzlement, Mr. Greer. Mr. Greer. I'll embezzle the hell out of this guy. No, if you want to be the treasurer, I know me and Joe have talked about certain roles within the company. We haven't figured out which one I'd be best
Yeah, and I also don't want to burden you with, things that you've already done that you don't really want to do
No,
anymore.
here's the thing. It's not really a burden. I love comics. I love making comics.
Yeah.
I know a lot about the business side. I wish I was more successful in it.
Yeah.
I have learned what not to do, which I think is more important than what to do.
Yeah. And you've gone through a lot of the same things that I have.
Yeah, trials and
A
tribulations.
lot of the things you're saying, I'm like exactly the same thing. And, just to know that somebody else went through that, they've gone through that experience. They have the highs and lows. And, Apogee, I was seeing everywhere. I was, your characters, I spotted,
Probably Phantom Hawk and Cardinal, because
Cardinal for
mostly
sure, like
those guys.
caught my eye right away. I'm like, what's this? What is this? And I didn't
love him.
know. So literally at that time, I wasn't really that into like Kickstarters or Indiegogo's crowdfunding.
Right.
So I really didn't know. I was just putting books out, and it was actually Bill said he had bought your book, and that was before I was even like knowing.
Bill, if memory serves, and Bill bought Bengali.
Okay, right. Yeah, he told me.
He got Crimson Guardians.
Yep.
And he also picked. Bill's been a huge contributor to some of my crowdfunding campaigns, and he doesn't go cheap. I love that about Bill. Bill's like, "Hey, what cool stuff do you have?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's this tier," and he's like, "That's mine."
Yeah. But I had been seeing the characters around, but I didn't know that much. I didn't know where to get them. Now I'm more savvy on all that stuff. But I remember
now it's a text message and you can have all of them.
Oh yeah. and so now at some point you reach the point of saying, like, not to put words in your mouth, but like either you want to either change Apogee or stop it or evolve it into something else, or
I wanted to have more reach. I want to have more opportunities. One of the first rules when the meeting of the minds when we all created Apogee was that we didn't want to do anything with time travel. So any changes or alternate versions of our characters, we're gonna have to do through the multiverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and multiverse is hard to write. Well, it's hard and it's easy at the same time. Like, because you can just say that it's Earth 616 or Earth 838 or whatever. So we didn't time travel. Like, even if we made speedsters, which I'm finally developing a speedster right now, and I think Evan has thrown his hat in the ring to write it.
Yeah, he's great at multiverse stuff, though he doesn't necessarily call it that. I don't know what his terms are, but he's really, it doesn't boggle him. He's like, oh, I'm going to get all into it. And
no, I read Evan's work. Like his compartmentalization and organization is far greater than mine. And I'm a pretty smart dude.
Yeah. I'll get bogged down on like a detail. I'm like, this one part, it's not working exactly how I want, and I'll be thinking on it for like a week and not writing it. But
the way I am, like, at the end of the day, I'm a pencil jockey, man.
Yeah,
I love just you give me a script like I did with with Bill's characters.
Right.
You give me a script, I'm going to do the best I can and knock it out of the park. I'm swinging for the fences at every panel, and it turns out good. And he had a great colorist that really popped out my lines.
Yeah, you did a South Hawk story that's coming soon.
And that was a cool character, and and I need very few details outside of the script. I'm like, okay, where are his powers? What can he do? And if I have any questions, it's been great that Bill was so available. Where I'm like, hey man, I want to do this, and he's like, that sounds awesome. Do it. I'm like, all right, cool. Here we go.
And you do a lot of live stream drawing.
Yes, I do.
What's your YouTube channel?
Okay, so one YouTube channel is Apogee Comics.
Just that, okay.
And I use StreamYard to stream to both my personal art page and to the Apogee Comics page.
So it's probably Apogee Comics. What's .youtube, or how does that go?
Let me look it up here.
.youtube.com or /YouTube.
See, and that's the thing. I need to market my YouTube more because I have less than like 20 followers on both.
You know, I see you posted on Facebook, and then I just click and I can see you,
Yeah,
or it's playing live or something.
But I'm constantly finding myself landed in Facebook jail. So.
Exactly. Or I think it's youtube.com/ and then Apogee Comics. That's what I'm going to put down.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Let's see. Go like this. I'm going to go Apogee Comics. I think it's this. So I posted it for everyone to see.
Okay, good. Great. That one is really one that I'm more, stressed about, is getting the company, and then I need to make some more additions and have the links to Starcross too, since our books are affiliated and pull through there. So there's a lot of work I still have to do because I'm so focused on the line work.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're drawing and writing and doing social media, like, you can't do all of it all at once.
No, I need.
If you're drawing, then you're not posting.
I need a clone.
Yeah,
that's what I need. I need a clone.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same thing with me. Now, when you decided to kind of morph Apogee into a next stage like this, then we ended up just talking, and at some point,
you caught me at the right point in life. I was going through a lot of life changes at the time. I was going through a divorce. I had moved from Texas to San Diego.
That's a big change.
I had like your major stressed life changes. I had changed job, even though it was the same job, but it was just at a different location. Then I had a move, cross country, half cross country, and then I was going through like my divorce. So I had all three of these things going on at the same time, and you just kind of caught me at a very existential crisis type. Like, what am I going to do from here?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? So I think you sent me a message on Facebook. You're like, hey, man, I've been looking at your stuff. Would you be interested in joining Starcross? I'm like, and I was aware of you guys. And I'm like, okay. First question I asked was, you've read my stuff, right? Like, you read what we put out. You seem to be, you have a niche, a Christian themed company. And I don't want to screw that up because I'm dealing with demons and the occult. And
yeah, that's what we have. I mean, we have Christian themed books, but most of our books wouldn't be able to be, in a Christian bookstore or whatever. Maybe some all ages ones, but a lot of them wouldn't. It's too, violent or too dark.
I'd say a lot of my books are like young adult to adult. I do my best to try and clean up the cussing. Like I said, like when I write a script, I act it out. I do the Kevin Smith method there. If it sounds like something somebody would actually say, then it fits. If it sounds like a writer behind a screen, and then I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to throw it out.
Well, I grew up on anime, and a lot of characters with massive violence or massive blood, and that gets me going. But then I'm told that's super extreme.
That's the first time I saw somebody tear another human in half.
Right.
It looked super cool, and it was super gory. And he had that really cool dog.
It's so over the top that you can't liken it to real life violence. It's like it's superhero violence. It's like ridiculous things,
like Invincible,
can't happen in real life.
Invincible.
Yeah. But I think it was someone once explained that, how you have like musicals in a movie that's a musical. Somebody once explained that in a musical.
I love musicals, by the way. Even though you're looking at me and I have the operator dash in my background, you would think like this guy loves Rambo movies. No, I love musicals.
Yeah. Well, they say when the emotions get so high that they break into song, and then they're singing about what's happening, but obviously in context it's more of like a symbol. So, and then somebody once said, like, comics, anime, things like that, when the emotion is so high, they break into a fight. And let's just say somebody like grew up in a violent home or something like that. But comic book violence, it's a means to an end. It's like an emotional story, and the story goes into a fight,
Yeah.
and the violence goes into like an emotional feeling, let not necessarily glorifying violence. It's like it's a depiction of good versus evil, somebody getting revenge off of somebody who did something wrong, and it's a visceral reaction of like, oh yeah, it's you're taking the bad things that we go through and you're like defeating it, and
Yeah.
that's what
We turn
people
it up
like
to
about
11 and
comics.
we
Yeah,
give it a resolution.
yeah, yeah,
And that's our most important job besides escapism, because that's what it
yeah,
is.
that too.
It's escapism.
Yeah.
If you pick up a copy of Tribulation Force or you pick up a
Hmm.
copy of Bengali, you're going into it to escape. Life sucks. We all know that. That's common knowledge. So we read comic books, we watch movies,
Yeah.
we listen to songs to have a little bit of escapism in our lives and enjoy a story. And there's stories told in music. There's definitely stories told in comic books. That's our whole deal. That's our job, is to tell a sequential story. People want to look down on it, like even Stan Lee looked down on it for the longest time.
Right.
Like, I
He didn't want to
write a
say
great
he was a
American
comic book
novel,
artist. Yeah.
but
Hmm.
you are writing the great American novel. It's just in a different medium, man. Comic books are important.
Hmm.
It's modern mythology. 1,000 years from now, someone's going to dig up a copy of Spider-Man and be like, "Oh shit, this is what they believed in." I'm sorry, I don't.
No, that's fine. I don't care.
But they're going to look it up, or
Yeah.
they're going to have that hero of Spider-Man or Superman, and then they're going to pick up Punisher, and they're going to be like, "Oh, these must have been their gods," And technically, they kind of are. These are the little g gods. That a lot of people kind of like look at. Like we worship comics a lot, like people used to worship ancient deities. I've seen
Hercules and
fighting over who would win in a fight between Hulk and Superman.
Right.
It's like, okay, who would win in a fight between Hades and Zeus?
Yeah. Yep.
So these are the new gods, as Kirby put it.
Right.
These are the new gods. These are the new mythologies, and they're great stories, and they show depictions of humanity and what we're capable of and what our insecurities are. And
exactly.
Probably one of the best books I ever read was The World According to the Greatest Superhero, and there was a correlation between Christian Judeo religions and Superman, and how it correlates, and how we look to these characters for certain things, and
I think I know the book.
Downfalls. Oh, and it's a phenomenal book. For any future writer, artist, illustrator, that and The 5 C's of Cinematography are probably the two best books you can have in your library.
Nice.
Because they're going to turn you into a world-class comic book. That and study everything Jim Lee, Jay Lee, anything from the Kuberts, Kirby. I could go on and on. We'll have it like a 3-hour show. But so those are the people you should be looking at. And those are the books you should have in your inventory.
Now, for the people who are familiar with Phantom Hawk and Crimson Paladin,
when we rebrand everything,
yep, that's going to be the new title, and Bengali. I want to mention that we had talked and decided that to launch your first Starcross book would be Solaren Prime.
Yeah.
Right. So now people haven't seen them. They may be seen like cover imagery or right. They haven't seen them in action.
Take care of that right now. Well, I thought
I can let you screen share.
Give me 1 second. Let me get the cover up.
Okay.
So people are. There we go.
Okay. Boom.
So that's Solaren Prime.
Okay. So that's going to be the first title. So that's going to be Solaren Prime #1.
At least some changes are going to happen in the cover because it's going to have the Starcross.
Sure.
Stuff on there, and I have to change some of the credits because I changed
updates and stuff,
and whatnot. But the artwork I'm still going to use because it's a darn clean piece of artwork, and it turned out really well.
Yeah. So that's going to be your first launch. and then it'll follow the I don't know what you would call it, not relaunch, but
No, it's good. It'll tie
update.
in
Yeah,
the other Apogee books.
that'll be cool.
That's a big question I get when I go on to shows is this all in one universe? And I'm like, of course it is. It's all in one universe. These guys are all kind of like coming on the scene at the same time. There was an Age of Heroes, and I'll deal with that later in later books. But there was a huge gap where most of human beings on this planet forgot that such great beings like that existed.
Yep.
So
cool. And then I think we're having like portals be able to, our characters can talk to each other, interact
and
whatnot.
Build up for later stuff. Yeah.
Bengali can make portals, can't he?
He does. He has the power of the void pool, which is what he's able to do now because he's new. He's a baby. He can make portals to go through different points in our space. So, and it's usually based on his visual range. So, he uses a lot when he's fighting. It's like, okay, I need to get behind this guy and disarm him. So he'll throw a void pool, jump through it real quick, come out behind him. But he's going to realize that void pool has like limitless range. Like if he wanted to go to Terralax, which is a planet within the Apogee universe, he wants to go to Solarin. He's going to end up on a dead planet, but I digress. He can do that if he fully knew what he was capable of. And that's kind of what I'm doing with these characters is showing you their growth, their journey as they discover more about themselves, the dangers of having these powers, and especially with Bengali. Bengali is the key to destroying everything.
Because he's drawing from that dark power.
He is. He's drawing from what I called as an old god, a dark god. So the whole Apogee universe is predicated on this one thing, the first light, the Big Bang. So before that, there was a void, and for you guys that are, religious followers, you understand that before God, said, let there be light, the earth was void and without form. But we don't really mention what existed in that without form area. So I kind of use that as a blank slate to create my own creatures, guys that were in charge of that. Who was the god before God became God? Who controlled things? And that would be Zedagoth. Zedagoth is he's without form. Because everything was without form before the existence of creation or the first light. So those are things that we're going to explore throughout all these books as we progress. And we kind of give a little teaser with War Drums. War Drums was an 8-page once over book of who's who in the zoo in the Apogee universe and kind of like what we were building towards.
I have this one.
You already got, you have the first appearance of Crimson Guardians and COVID right there.
This one's black and white.
Yeah, the sketch cover, that was my idea because it was mainly meant for conventions. It's like, all right,
the black and white version.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the color version is so much better. Actually, you know what? I don't know. It's a toss-up. There's some really cool artwork in there that I think looks better in black and white. But I'm a black and white guy or a grayscale guy.
Now, what was Sunburst?
That's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Okay, so Solarin Prime.
Solarin Prime went through many changes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Sunscreen was the original name. And it was kind of because I was 15 years old and I thought it'd be a funny gag of how he got his name.
Yeah.
So when he got his powers, he got launched out into space. And then when he comes back, he goes through the atmosphere, burns up all his clothes. He's naked as a jaybird, lands in a beach off of, the coast of Florida during the summertime, tourist season, and he pops out of the water and he just like floats across to the beach, and he's just naked, so you got moms, covering their kids' eyes, and you got some like stoned out surfer dude, like, dude, sunscreen, because it's like a hot day in Miami or whatever. And he thought that was his name because he was discombobulated. He just, I thought it would be a fun thing.
Yeah.
But just like, as I matured, as I got older, I'm like, that gimmick isn't going to work,
Robert's asking, are you going on Indiegogo or Kickstarter? I think with Solarin Prime.
It's going to be a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because I have a fan base at Kickstarter,
Cool.
and then I might do a shop in IGG Indiegogo later on.
Yeah.
But I have a fan base in Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with who I have fans with already and who I can get that message out to.
And, we'll put it on blast and tell everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the.
Not that I have anything against Indiegogo.
I support a lot of stuff.
I just got some stuff. I'm also a huge horror fan.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the Jason mask and there's a Freddy Krueger glove above that with a street sign of Elm Street. Me and my wife are huge horror fans, so I support a lot of like fan films of those types of genres, like the fan films for Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger or anything like that. So I don't have much money, but when I can throw it around, I support that type of stuff.
Well, we're gonna have you back again when Solarian Prime launches.
Tentatively, what I'm looking at right now, and this is gonna be news to everybody because I just figured it out last night. I always like to release things on New Comic Book Day. So we're looking at September 29th right now, tentatively. I want to work the rewards. I used to make them really grandiose. The one reward that everyone should be looking at is there is a custom Solarian Prime action figure. I have a duplicate of it.
Nice.
The original is going to stay with me because it just turned out so damn cool.
Nice.
So I'm going to offer a custom Solarian Prime action figure.
Nice.
With the campaign, and there will be original art.
You do a sketch cover again.
Sketch cover will be in there. I like to limit those because they take a lot of time for me to do. Because I've had people who are like, "Hey man, I want you to do this, and that," and there's like 5 characters, and I have to. I'm like, oh wow,
yeah,
crazy. Yeah. I got a small format to work with. I'm not working on 11 by 17, where I can fit all that stuff in there. So
we can do chrome covers.
I would love to do a chrome cover, and you're the guy that has the access.
Trading cards, all that,
Trading. There's always going to be a trading card.
I still have your trading cards here somewhere.
You should have.
They're on my desk.
Bengali and a Phantom Hawk one.
Yeah, they're in my stack of cards here.
What I love about trading cards is that they're ridiculously cheap to manufacture.
Yeah.
So it's a really good gimmick. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to get it going. Oh yeah, the Phantom Hawk one. That was done by Dino Agor. I did the back cover.
Looks good.
And the back cover is in Bengali. That was done by Rich Parada of Marvel Image and DC fame. And he has a book right now called Incantessi. The second issue's out.
Oh, wow.
That, and he's a member of Apogee. He's the art director. So
very cool. So there's still there are guys that are still not everybody left when shift happened.
No. There was like 3 people during the shift of Apogee, like what I call it the Great Change Up. There were some differences of opinion within the company, so I bought out some members. I regret one of them. I think he'd be more of an asset with Apogee than he's doing what he's doing right now. But it is. That's how it is with this business.
It's constantly morphing.
We just want to put out books, man.
Yep, exactly.
And if we can't agree or at least come up with some sort of middle ground, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
So, and it just there was a time and place where a lot of things were going on, and I wanted to keep going with the company, and people had other ideas. So I had the money at the time, and I bought them out. Like, here's the thing: I am like Bengali is like the character concept was drawn by another person that we were really good friends, and now I just can't stand this dude. We had a huge falling out, but I give him credit in every book for the concept.
Okay.
Everything that makes Bengali is me and Renee Garza.
Okay.
And those were hours of meetings.
Wow.
Who this character is going to be and where we want to see him going in the future.
Nice.
So.
Wow. Well, Nick, I know it's getting late, but I'm going to have you back.
Okay.
to
Anytime.
promote Solarian Prime, and every time you do a book, we'll do another show so to get the word out.
Sounds good to me, brother.
But this is the this is your life version, and I know you got a lot of titles coming up, and I know we're gonna have your characters appear in Biblical Proportions #2.
Yes.
And maybe some crossovers, whatever you want to do. Just let me know. We have Starcross Team Up. We have
Hey, if it's a good
Starcross
script and
Presents.
you just need me to do like a couple of pages, 4
Yeah.
pages, 5 pages, whatever, let me know.
Awesome.
I love drawing my own characters, and I love drawing other people's characters.
You did a Sorrow picture that's going to be in when the Sorrow releases,
Nice.
right? Didn't you? I know
I
you
did.
You did. Yeah.
I've done a few things.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff for Evan. I've done stuff for Bill.
Yeah.
Where it shows up, I have no idea.
Yeah. I want to make sure that we always know what you do, so I make sure that it gets put in something to use it. Cool.
But I am going to go live tonight. I'm going to be doing a live part 2 of the inking for a pinup that I was doing with some of my villains. I'm titling Apogee's Most Dangerous Men.
Oh, wow.
It's probably going to be here around,
tonight?
About 8, 9 o'clock my time,
wow.
Standard Time. I'm a night owl, so I apologize in advance for you guys that want to
I've been up since 3 a.m.
Oh, my Lord, you're a machine.
My wife's like coming home. She's like, what do you mean you're going to do a live show? How are you not, I just went to see Shang-Chi. And
was it good?
I liked it. I liked it. If you like, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been to the theater in over a year and a half, dude.
Me neither. And me and my brother were like the only people in the theater, but I hear it's doing really well. But it was crazy. We had the whole theater to ourselves. It was so weird.
The last movie I saw in the theater was Rise of Skywalker.
I think Endgame might have been the one I saw. But I will say they had really great trailers, so I was really happy about that. When you get really good ones, you get hyped, and then when they give you lame ones the whole time, you're just like, oh.
But I've gotten into the groove. Like when Black Widow came out, I ordered on Disney Plus.
Yep.
So I could watch it on my 80-foot. Oh, not 80-foot. That'd be awesome. I'd love to have an 80-foot. But 80-inch TV screen in my bedroom. So me and the wife are just chilling in bed with our popcorn and our snacks. Watching Black Widow. And today 2 movies got released that were supposed to be in the theaters. Kate and Malignant.
Oh, I don't know those.
Like I said, huge horror fan. Malignant.
They're horror ones. Okay.
That got released on HBO Max, and Kate got released on Netflix.
Okay.
So I'm getting way too used. I'm a huge cinema fan. I love going to the theater. I love the experience.
Dune's coming out soon.
Oh my God.
Matrix 4.
And I'm conflicted because I'm a huge Dune fan. I read it when I was in Egypt in 2000.
Wow.
So I'm surrounded by literally Dune.
Yeah.
And I'm reading Frank Herbert's masterpiece, and I'm like, I totally get it because I'm like totally immersed in the Arab culture. And everything's making sense. And I was raised Catholic. They have the Orange Catholic Bible in Dune. We could do a whole other show on that. Huge fan. He totally blew his wad on Dune. Everything else sucked. But but I'm so looking forward to that movie because all I have right now is the 1986 version.
Yeah, the David Lynch one.
Yeah, the David Lynch one, which is good. The 4-hour version is awesome.
The special effects are dated.
Yeah, they're totally dated, but it still holds up as far as the story.
Yeah, it does.
And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked in October. So if you want to do like a Dune review,
right?
Show, I'm totally in. Give me a call.
That. We can do reviews. We can do movie reviews. We can get all the Starcross members. Anyone who wants to talk about Shang-Chi, we're going to talk about it tonight. Yeah. Yep. That sounds like
I'm all about that. I love doing it. So
nice.
I'm super stoked for that one.
Yeah.
For Dune, you got me all excited again.
Nice. Well, I'm so glad I finally got you on. I know we kept missing each other for schedules, but everybody just watch Nick on YouTube, watch him on Facebook. He's going to broadcast tonight. check
him
out
on IG.
everything he posts, all his artwork, and Solarian Prime's going to be first to come out of the gate. And just follow Nick on, Instagram or,
Yeah,
Facebook.
Nick Garber Art on Instagram and Twitter, and Apogee Comics on Instagram and Twitter, and you'll find me. And I'm very proactive and very responsive on those. So you send me a message on either one.
Exactly.
I'll get back to you.
And we can't wait to help Nick launch new titles and some of the ones that you're familiar with. And you're going to want to get the new covers. You're going to want to get the new updates.
Yeah,
on the old familiar.
Not tonight, but within the next couple of days, I'm going to do a variant cover of Solarian Prime issue 1.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I want to throw in General Graxus, and I'm going to do one more if you have time. Hold on, because you guys need to see this.
Okay, you bet. Let's take a look.
Give you a little bit of.
No problem.
Give you a little look at what the villain looks like.
Boom. That's cool. This is a Solarian Prime villain, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell he looks celestial.
He doesn't show up in issue 1, but he's going to show up in that first arc. So, like, issue 2 is going to show up.
Okay. Now, is he like a leader of his race or something like that?
Okay, so here's the deal with Solarian Prime. A little bit of a spoiler. General Grexus and the entity known as Proxus are the only survivors of Solarian, which in the Apogee universe is the first planet that had life forms on it.
Okay.
So everything else is brand new compared to this. It's kind of like Oa or whatever the homeworld for the Watcher.
Yeah.
So these guys were the first civilizations throughout the entire universe. And they had a specific way that they traveled and explored the cosmos because they were limited. They couldn't get past their own atmosphere physically, so they had to figure out a way to travel and explore, and they did that by attaching their consciousness to a tachyon and sending it out. That was the only way to penetrate their atmosphere. So they would inhabit other beings. It would be a collaborative effort between the explorer and the host entity of that indigenous planet that they were exploring. And then General Grexus comes in because they needed someone to protect them. So they created this entity or this person that didn't need permission from a host. He could just invade. He could invade your consciousness. So you have problems with a hostile world, you send him out there, he invades the mind of, the ruler of that world and just tears it to shreds. So
cool.
Grexus is a huge force to be reckoned with. You're going to see him throughout Solarian Prime, and he's going to show up in some combined story arcs in Apogee that are going to really cause some problems in the universe and the world, especially for Earth. Huge refugee problems, because this dude's whole purpose is conquer.
Okay.
Conquer and expand. So
nice. That's going to be awesome. Well, I'm going to try and watch your live stream tonight. Everyone else should, but I'll talk to you soon.
I'll definitely drop the link.
Awesome. So. Yeah. And follow him on Facebook and watch him tonight if you can on YouTube and Facebook. But thanks, Nick, for spending some time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Joe.
All right. And we'll talk to you soon. Everybody keep in touch with Nick and check him out. Thanks, everyone.